I'm Chris Lawrence with your top stories in North Texas. A truck driver has been sentenced for causing a crash in Terrell that killed 5 people. Senior investigative reporter Tanya Iser was in court as the victims' families came face to face with the driver.
That truck driver pled guilty and received a 20-year sentence. Afterward, one by one, members of the families took the stand to tell how his actions had cost their families.
You can bring him out.
More than a year after the crash, victims' families saw Alexis Osmani Gonzalez Campione for the first time.
All right, let's go on the record. How do you plea? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Then it was the family's turn to speak.
You took my daughter away, and I want you to remember her name for the rest of your life. Her name was Nicole, and I pray that the Lord has mercy on your soul.
Last June, Gonzalez Campione fell asleep behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler on Interstate 20, plowing in to stop traffic and triggering the deadly chain reaction crash.
I'm left with the haunting thought that it didn't have to be that way. If only you had rested, that's the law, you should have rested. It could have changed everything.
The crash killed her daughter. The crash also took the lives of 4 members of the McKellar family.
I forgive you. I love you because I'm supposed to love you. And we will continue to lift you up in prayer.
Those words left him sobbing.
You took my brother. My only brother.
I have forgiven you. Ask God to forgive you.
Only one member of the McKellar family survived that crash. Evan, a college student who lost her leg, her grandmother playing a recording of her speaking.
I understand that what happened was not intentional, but intent does not change the outcome. My family is still gone, my injuries are still permanent, and my life will never be the same.
At Kaufman, I'm Tanya Iser.
A judge has dismissed a lawsuit against Gateway Church and its founder, Robert Morris. It accused Gateway of fraud, alleging church leaders lied to the congregation. The church told them 15% of tithes or voluntary contributions would go towards global mission work. The judge tossed the case, saying the court would violate the First Amendment if it tried to define what a religious organization sees as outreach work. Gateway applauded the decision. The lawsuit was filed months after Robert Morris stepped down due to allegations of child sex abuse dating back to the 1980s. He pleaded guilty in Oklahoma and served 6 months in prison. Morris issued a new statement saying he never misled the congregation while leading Gateway. One child was killed and several others injured when a fire broke out in Fort Worth. As Scoop Jefferson reports, neighbors are praising the Good Samaritan who tried to get children out of the home.
You hear the I guess windows popping. It was really bad. And then the black smoke just started coming.
That's how Rosalinda Garcia describes a deadly overnight house fire. Around 3 a.m., she and her boyfriend, Leon Segura, came across the fire in the 4200 block of McCart Avenue, where he sprung into action.
He did inhale some black smoke. He had his bandana wrapped around his face. He said when he got in, he saw like 2 little girls that looked like they were on the floor dying, just already dying. He grabbed one, he said, not threw her, but placed her onto the ground and went back in and he saw the other little girl and grabbed her.
Within minutes, Fort Worth firefighters arrived and found heavy fire coming from the front and the side of the house and immediately started looking for trapped victims. Firefighters rescued 2 more children. One went to the hospital, the other passed away at the scene. A 5th child escaped unharmed, and paramedics treated 2 adults from the home at the scene.
Because I have grandbabies and great-grandchildren. To lose a child, innocent kid, a baby, it's heartbreaking to lose something close to you. It's heartbreaking, it was tragic.
Animal care and control officers retrieved the family's dog from the backyard. The cause of the fire is under investigation by the Fort Worth Fire Arson Unit. And as Rosalinda Garcia's boyfriend recovers from his rescue injuries.
He had a cut up arm on his right hand and he had a burn on his left.
Just like firefighters, she says his actions showed remarkable courage.
I would definitely consider him a hero.
In Fort Worth, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
The debate over data centers is playing out across the state, and now residents are pushing back on a project taking shape in Lavon. The 40-megawatt facility could encompass up to 80 acres, and residents tell us they're just learning about a project that's been in motion for years. Some are concerned about the noise and air pollution, others the amount of water and electricity it'll consume. But they're united in what they want from city leaders.
Transparency. And definitely we want them to understand, listen, and truly see where their community is coming from. This is not about us avoiding any type of tax revenue or anything. It's about the safety and the viability of our community.
Residents are already making plans to attend the next City Hall meeting at the end of July. A Garland native was selected by the Atlanta Hawks in the first round of the NBA draft. Jobin Puneker was with Zuby Ejiofor and his family as they celebrated his dream.
There is no question who this party is for. His pictures are everywhere and he stands tall, both figuratively and physically.
The hardships, the ups and downs, just to lead to this moment.
Zuby Ejiofor will soon make his professional basketball debut.
With the 23rd pick in the 2026 NBA draft.
But first, the NBA announcement.
Zuby Ejiofor from St. John's University.
Who needs a green room with strangers when you can have family and friends all around you?
Overwhelming tears of joy, excitement, and yeah, it just felt like a weight off my shoulders.
It's like a dream come true, you know, one of those things, like, is this really happening moment, you know?
He calls Andy Filacek his pops. He's helped Zuby handle trainings, college offers, long practice road trips.
It's just so easy to raise him and want to see him be successful, you know.
I'm a lucky guy, you know, I have, two sets of parents. I have my biologicals, I have them as well, so.
Zuby played high school at Garland, college at Kansas and St. John's. He will now join a young, hungry Atlanta Hawks team, a team he never even worked out for during the draft process, only interviewed. We asked him who the Hawks are getting.
A player that's willing to do it all, on both sides of the ball.
Humble, relentless, unselfish, all he cares about is winning.
He'll have more than just winning. We asked this humble kid what he'll do with that first paycheck. For him, it starts and ends with family.
It definitely, has something to do with them. Maybe paying off the house, maybe a new car, maybe, you never know.
He will report to Atlanta on Thursday. Zuby tells us he just wants to make an impact on the NBA. And by the looks of his party, he's already made that impact at home. In Collin County, I'm Jobin Puneker.
Boy, I certainly wish him nothing but the best. And those are your headlines from North Texas.
Here's a look at today's headlines across Houston. Hello, I'm Len Cannon. A Houston woman has been added to the FBI's most wanted fraudster list, accused of running a nearly $100 million healthcare fraud scheme. Aniela Ruiz spoke exclusively with the Houston FBI agent in charge of the case.
41-year-old Emily Ty facing several federal charges for allegedly running a healthcare fraud scheme of more than $90 million. According to court documents, Ty allegedly ran a genetic testing lab out of this location here off of 610.
Her scheme was that she was fraudulently billing for tests, laboratory tests, specifically genetics tests that were not medically necessary.
Special agent in charge of the FBI in Houston, Jason Hudson, says the scheme involves several people.
Kickback scheme in which she had co-conspirators and she was paying them for their part in this fraudulent activity. A lot of these were legitimate doctor scripts.
They say the operations stretch far beyond Houston.
Her laboratory was here in the Houston area, but she was collecting DNA samples from people across the country.
Federal investigators say the alleged scheme took place from 2019 to 2022 when she was indicted and she was brought here to federal court. She made bond and was out with an ankle monitor, but she never made it back.
Cut her ankle monitor and she fled the country. We believe that she's currently in Vietnam.
Now the FBI has added Ty to its newly launched Most Wanted fraudster list and is offering a reward for information leading to her arrest. Investigators say crimes like these impact every taxpayer.
They should anger the taxpayers because, again, even though there may not be per se a traditional victim like there may be in a violent crime, the victim, once again, is us. It's the taxpayer.
That's Annalie Ruiz reporting. Cleanup continues after a massive fire ripped through the Mammoth metal recycling plant in Houston's East End this week. Community groups and nearby residents say their air monitoring detected elevated pollution levels in neighborhoods. But city officials say their testing does not show a health threat. Troy Kless looking at the conflicting findings and what's being done to monitor air quality.
Residents say they remember a pungent smell when the fire occurred. Now, local groups are advocating for facilities like Mammoth to be held accountable. Resident Blanca Garza was on the way home with her son when she learned about the fire at this recycling facility.
We started seeing reports of like, well, stay in your home, close all the windows, turn off your air. And so we did those things. But quickly after that, I just started getting a pounding headache.
Days later, she's sharing her story with Air Alliance Houston.
So then to hear, that the air quality is just fine is kind of unbelievable. I couldn't believe that.
But based on EPA guidelines, air quality fell into the moderate category in wake of this massive fire that burned for nearly 15 hours. Wind carried the thick black clouds across town. Houston Mayor John Whitmire acknowledging the facility has received fines and complaints before.
Not only do inspectors need to be there, and I understand they've written them citations, but they just pay the citations. So we need to go to the legislature and get more enforcement.
A doctor with Air Alliance Houston says she is worried about the elevated levels of particulate matter and the potential health impacts.
I encourage nearby residents experiencing any symptoms like eye or throat irritation, coughing, wheezing, or exacerbation of any chronic respiratory conditions like asthma or bronchitis to please contact their healthcare providers.
Residents feel state and federal regulators should become strict with facilities like Mammoth, which has a history of complaints.
If places are already getting fined, then we need to stay on top of that to prevent these sorts of things.
City leaders say they will continue monitoring cleanup of the fire. Houston Mayor John Whitmire told us this week that the city's health department is monitoring air quality, and so far they have not found any air quality levels that are concerning when it comes to federal regulations. In East Houston, Troy Kless, KHOU 11 News.
Hundreds are feared dead, thousands hurt after 2 earthquakes rocked Venezuela Wednesday. Katy, by the way, is home to the Houston area's largest Venezuelan community. Katira Winfrey is there now with how they are stepping up to help.
There's a growing Venezuelan population here in the Katy area, and the notion to help was almost immediate. The business Metabox Cargo is using its businesses as collection zones to eventually ship out vital supplies to areas most in need.
It's been a century since devastation like this has shaken Venezuela. There's an immediate call for help, and community members like Veruska Cano is wasting no time.
Immediately.
Her donation only adds to a growing pile of medical, hygiene, clothing, and non-perishable food destined for Caracas, Venezuela, after twin earthquakes claimed more than 188 lives, injured over 1,500, and leveled buildings Wednesday.
I try to close my eyes, and the only thing I think of is the people under the buildings that collapse. The people that, pass away.
Jesus Nunez owns Metabox Cargo. His typical line of work is delivering cargo, but this shipment serves a bigger purpose. He's turned each of his business locations into collection points. It's hard to keep up with all that's arrived.
It's a tragedy. It's the worst earthquake we have had in Venezuela.
The damaged buildings still standing still pose a risk. Already a state of emergency has been declared. Authorities say the quakes were so strong parts of Colombia and Brazil felt it. The U.S. is sending federal aid, and so are these Texans.
When we are going through situations like that, we all come together and help each other, even though we're really far, far away.
Cano says Venezuela can't handle this disaster alone, so all the help.
Faith, God will always help us. Sooner or later, but we'll always receive help.
They plan to start shipping out the first batches of supplies this coming Monday. Reporting in Katy, Katira Winfrey, KHOU 11 News.
A long road ahead there. The Buffalo Soldiers National Museum in the heart of Houston is expanding its mission. It is ensuring that LGBTQ+ stories are part of the military history it preserves and shares. Our Mia Gradney has been following the museum's transformation and shares one Marine's journey for inclusion.
This is quite the collection here.
Yes, yes it is. Yes it is. I have a lot of pictures here from when I was in the Marine Corps and also in the reserves.
Adam Mayfield has years of memories and mementos. He served his country with multiple deployments, honors, and promotions, climbing to the rank of sergeant.
Right over here is a MOP station, lookout tower in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, that looked over the communist Cuba fence line.
Adam is proud of all he accomplished with the Marines, but even more proud of his own personal acceptance.
Is there a saying that the Marines have?
Semper Fidelis, always faithful.
For Adam, those words meant being faithful to his country. Being faithful to himself took longer.
You served during Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
I did serve during Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Under the military's Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy from 1994 to 2011, gay, lesbian, and bisexual service members could serve, but only if they kept their sexual orientation private.
What was that like?
It was traumatizing.
How so?
How so? I couldn't be who I was. It was very frightening. If I said anything or did anything different that would allow somebody to call me out, that was traumatizing.
How did you manage that?
With prayer. With prayer.
Then, while stationed in Guantanamo Bay, he found the courage to share his truth.
When that question or challenge did come, I did tell them the truth. And then the truth was such a shock to them that they were like, oh, okay, you're still Adam. And that shocked me even more, because that allowed me to even be more comfortable because of that one person who said that, and did not make me feel shame that I had to hide my identity.
There's no more shame, just honor. And now the Buffalo Soldiers National Museum wants to ensure service members like Adam are remembered in history for their bravery and sacrifices.
What do you think about the Buffalo Soldiers National Museum expanding their mission to be more inclusive and recognize LGBTQ service members?
It's a wonderful thing, and I feel honored to be a part of that story.
A place dedicated to service, and now a place where Adam and others will forever feel seen. Mia Gradney, KHOU 11 News.
That is a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Len Cannon.
Okay, Texas, we got a drought update today, but let's begin by going back to where we were. This was May 19th, and we still had significant drought across South and Central Texas, and then in Amarillo up into the Panhandle. Houston area beginning to come out of drought at that time after being in significant drought. So let's fast forward from May 19th to present. May 26th, there we are. We go into the latest drought report, which just came out. Look at the improvement. The wet weather pattern that we've had for the last month, really last couple of months in many parts of Texas, has improved the dry weather, dry soil conditions significantly. Still have some extreme drought up across the Panhandle, Amarillo area, but other than that, we're doing pretty good with big improvements across Texas. Now we've moved back into a dry weather pattern as this upper level ridge of high pressure has moved into the west portion of Texas, been sitting here for a couple of days, been keeping us hot and dry and pushing the rain out and around it for most of us. We get into Friday, and there could be an isolated shower in North Texas. I'm going to show you the high-res modeling. This won't amount to much. The high-pressure dome really will continue to dominate Texas weather Friday and on Saturday, with more heat and especially humid across the central and eastern portion of the state. Let's look at the high-res modeling on rain chances. This is Friday afternoon. There could be an isolated shower or thunder shower, Wichita Falls back to Lubbock. back toward the Davis Mountains, Guadalupe Mountains, but very little in the way of rainfall. You see the monsoonal flow, which gives a better chance for the desert, and showers pushed off way out toward Missouri and Tennessee and Kentucky. Now, Friday night, this could pop. A couple of thunderstorms could fire up again. It's Wichita Falls back to perhaps to Abilene. And then we go into Saturday morning. What does fire up there will quickly fizzle out overnight. And then Saturday afternoon, rain chances, they are slim. This is 4 p.m. Saturday afternoon. Again, mountains, isolated showers, panhandle. The rest of us, San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, Laredo, just hot and sticky. Temperatures, well, where that dome is centered out in the western portion of Texas, you get the hottest temps. Friday afternoon, Midland 102, Lubbock 101, Del Rio 98, while Houston 95, Dallas 97, and Brownsville sits at 90. Saturday morning near 80. Saturday afternoon, basically a repeat. Triple digits for Lubbock. Will be near that in Midland and Del Rio. Dodge City, Kansas goes to 102 Saturday afternoon, while San Antonio 96, Houston 94. Not quite as hot, but still plenty hot. Tropics, quiet as a mouse in the Gulf, the Caribbean, and the open Atlantic. Hurricane Center says no tropical development expected across the Atlantic Basin for the next 7 days. Take it one day at a time, but looking at the long range, there's just nothing showing up out there. It has a lot to do with the dust that dominates the Atlantic from the main development region all the way across the Caribbean and the Gulf. This is going into Saturday. We're monitoring this large plume of thick dust. Now, again, when you're talking about dust in the Saharan arid layer, you're talking about this dust, most of it's at 5,000 feet. But some of that mixes down to the surface. So as we head into Sunday afternoon and Monday and Tuesday, not only will skies get very hazy from the dust, Brownsville to San Antonio to Austin to Dallas to Houston, Lufkin, but if you're sensitive to this, you might feel a little bit of a scratchy throat because some of that dust, a little bit of it, will be down at the surface, and we'll be monitoring air quality going into the first part of next week. All right, Texas, that's where we stand.
In Austin, I'm Mark Mullins. An Austin man will spend 20 years in federal prison after fentanyl pills he sold led to someone's death. In 2023, a Leander man was found dead in his apartment with fentanyl pills in the bathroom. Phone records revealed a text exchange between the victim and 22-year-old Keith Rick Carter. Austin police confirmed Carter was dealing fentanyl. Carter was arrested and agreed to a plea deal. He was sentenced on Wednesday on one charge of distribution of fentanyl resulting in death. Convicted Central Texas serial killer Raul Meza Jr. is now facing a new felony charge as he serves a prison sentence of life without parole. Austin police now say the 65-year-old has been charged with possession of child pornography. That charge came after detectives reviewed a cell phone seized during a separate Pflugerville police investigation in 2023. APD says a court-ordered forensic exam found multiple pornographic images of children on that phone. Meza is already serving 2 life sentences after he pleaded guilty to the murders of Gloria Lofton and Jesse Fraga. He was also previously convicted of killing 8-year-old Kendra Page in Austin in 1982 and served about 11 years of his sentence before being released from prison. Austin police have identified a suspect in connection with a hit and run that left an Air Force firefighter fighting for his life. Police are looking for the driver who hit 23-year-old Dominic DeBoss on South Congress Avenue on May 30th. KVU's Brianna Perez reports his recovery has taken him outside of state lines.
After spending 24 days in intensive care at an Austin hospital, Dominic DeBoss is now in Omaha to continue his recovery closer to home.
We're happy to have him home, but I mean, other than that, us being able to come to our own beds at night and sleep, it doesn't necessarily feel like he's home. I mean, because he's not home. He's in a facility where he has to be taken care of 24 hours a day.
Melissa DeBoss says her son is still fighting for his life after Austin police say he was struck by a vehicle in South Austin last month and left on the side of the road. Police have now identified a suspect as 20-year-old Rafael Guzman Avila. According to court documents, police found a black Lincoln registered to Avila less than 2 miles from the crash site. The vehicle had significant damage to its front grille and hood, consistent with hitting a pedestrian. Police say the license plates and registration sticker were removed. Court documents show police looked at Avila's cell phone records, which indicated the phone was at the scene of the crash site that night. Police say Avila now has an active warrant for his arrest.
I don't understand how somebody could run over another person and know that you hurt them and know that like every minute counts for their survival, and then continue to drive around the area and not, make any attempt to call 911 or any attempt to, help save their life.
While she says closure might not come as she hoped, she says her focus remains on her son.
Can you squeeze my hand? Good boy.
Who she says is defying the odds and making progress.
We know it's going to be a long road and a long journey. There are, signs of hope. He's, blinking sometimes. He's squeezed our hands a few different times. And so we feel like he hears us.
While recovery won't happen overnight, Dubois says having her son back home gives her family hope for what's ahead. In Austin, Brianna Perez, KVUE News.
The DuBois family has started a fundraiser to help cover costs associated with the incident. For more information, you can look for this story on kvue.com. Austin police are looking for a man who they say robbed a drugstore while armed with a machete. Investigators released this video on Thursday. They say it happened at the Walgreens on 45th Street near Guadalupe Street. Police say the man demanded property from an employee, stole something, and then left in a dark-colored sedan. So if you recognize him, you are asked to call Austin Police. A piece of old Austin is getting new life on South Congress Avenue. The Todd Bergen House, built in 1877, is said to be the last residential home on the iconic strip. KVUE's Jessica Cha spoke to the owners of the home about why they're making a change.
On South Congress, Austin's iconic strip, businesses seem to change overnight. But one Victorian house in the heart of the strip has quietly held on to its spot for nearly 150 years.
This is the Todd Bergen House. So it was built in 1877. We bought it in 1899.
Tim Todd Ray says his family bought it at a time when South Congress was just taking shape.
See that gate in the fence right there? That was a gate for buggies and wagons.
Even as South Congress changed around it, Ray says the original structure has mostly stayed the same.
And this was one of the original colors. The interior, the original plaster is still there.
But the home's purpose has changed over the years. Ray says it's been a boarding house, an antique store, and also home for him and his mother, Connie Todd.
It meant everything. I mean, I used to sit on that porch up there and watch Congress wake up and go to sleep every day.
Ray says it's always been a place for the community to gather.
We had tremendous, dinner parties. There's so many memories.
And he says his mother stayed here until 2024 as the last person to live on South Congress.
Mom died. So the main impetus for the change is that she passed away, and we have to do something with it.
After Connie passed away, Tim reached out to real estate developer Matthew Moreno, and together they say they have a plan to open up the past to the community.
We feel a sense of obligation to honor the tradition of the home, and architecturally and just from a atmosphere standpoint.
Moreno says they're turning the house into a cafe and bar named Connie's.
Connie's is an authentic South Austin bar and cafe, and it's meant to be somewhat of a portal to an older, slower, more eclectic side of Austin.
Moreno says the home has a historical designation, so the house will look the same, but its purpose will fit to be more modern. Ray says his mom would like it.
She'd be happy to see people walk through the house, be in the space, enjoy the shade.
Once again, a place for the community to gather. In South Austin, Jessica Cha, KVUE News.
Hospital leaders say a new women's hospital is about more than delivering babies. It's an investment in specialized care for women at every stage of life. Ascension Seton celebrated its new women's hospital Thursday, located off West 34th Street in Central Austin. It expands services for maternity patients and women with specialized health care needs. The hospital brings labor and delivery, maternal care, and neonatal services together in one location. Hospital administrators say it'll give patients access to additional resources and specialists close to home.
There's still a lot that needs to happen within the women's center, women's world. And I will tell you, that day was so exciting for everybody that it came true, that the answer was yes, we were going to build this.
Hospital administrators say they hope the expanded facility will help meet the evolving healthcare needs of women and families across Central Texas for years to come. Buda city officials just announced they're breaking ground on a major park project this summer. The city has awarded a nearly $14 million contract to build out Garrison Memorial Park along Onion Creek, just north of downtown Buda. Construction will start in late July, with completion expected by next summer. The 40-acre park will have a nature center, a swimming hole, a kayak launch, and hiking trails that connect to the Onion Creek trail system. That'll do it for us from Austin for now. We want you to have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
I'm Bailey Bates. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. 6 News is learning more about a CO2 leak that sent multiple employees from a Troy McDonald's to the hospital. Our Juliana Jackson spoke with employees who say they are still looking for answers and shares what investigators found.
For employees at this Troy McDonald's, what started as a normal shift quickly turned into a nightmare.
More than just that, when it was me and like 2 other coworkers that were feeling dizzy, nausea, and trouble breathing.
6 News spoke with employees who were on duty during the incident but wished to remain anonymous. They say symptoms started about an hour after clocking in. A former employee who stopped by the restaurant was worried and called 911.
And as soon as he got there, he saw us and decided to call 911. And would not let us go back to work, which I am thankful he did that.
According to Troy Volunteer Fire Department, crews responded to calls for service on June 22nd. 5 employees were taken to the hospital, while the health district says 6 total employees sought medical care. Employees tell 6 News they believe there were warning signs before they got sick. Providing 6 News with video of what they say was a CO2 warning detector flashing inside the building days before the incident.
And that little flashing light that you would see, a warning.
We reached out to McDonald's to ask about the detector going off and haven't heard back. Employees shared medical records with 6 News referencing carbon monoxide exposure and toxic inhalation, while investigators say the source of the incident was a carbon dioxide leak from a soda fountain machine, and CO2 levels inside the building were 0. The health district says McDonald's voluntarily closed the restaurant June 22nd while crews repaired the leak. The restaurant reopened June 23rd, and the district says the investigation is now closed.
We're being told that it's fixed and safe and operational, but there is a lot of us that are hesitant.
For employees, the biggest concern now is making sure something like this doesn't happen again.
They actually improve the place instead of say they are and not do anything about it.
Meantime, lawmakers are working to get answers after a nearly 10-hour hearing at the state capitol. They're trying to piece together the impact of data centers, but say the companies aren't playing ball. 6 News reporter Adriana Alexander spoke with 2 of our Central Texas representatives about what comes next.
A nearly 10-hour hearing on data centers left lawmakers with one major takeaway. They need more information.
I urge this committee to require full transparency on water and energy use.
The Texas House Natural Resources Committee hosted their data center meeting Tuesday and even invited several data center companies to testify.
I invited 2 witnesses today who refused to come answer questions: Diode Ventures and Calypso. They didn't decline due to scheduling, conflicts, or any other acceptable reason. They just simply didn't want to face tough questions.
Those didn't appear, but representatives from Google, Amazon Web Services, and Vantage Data Centers testified in defense of the industry. Those corporate voices were far outnumbered by concerned Texans, making their presence known.
We can't make these decisions. We should not be allowing these construction projects to proceed with just flying blind. We have no idea what the impacts of these things are going to be, and yet they continue on.
Lawmakers learned only about 17% of data centers have completed the state's water use survey. State Representative Brad Buckley says that makes it harder to plan for Texas's growth.
We task our Water Development Board to build a water plan for the state of Texas, one that looks way out into the future. And we don't have accurate data.
Both Buckley and Representative Hillary Hicklin say good policy starts with good data. Once they get a clear idea of how much power and water each data center needs to operate, they say they can better plan for Texas's future growth while protecting its water and power supply.
We really need to hear from everyone because we will be making laws around
this issue.
It's important to them to engage the community, to tell them, hey, here's what we do, here's how we do it, here's the impact on your community.
It's a topic on a lot of Texans' mind. Those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Here's your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Mark Armstrong. The city of Beaumont says its investigation into last month's boil water incident in the South End is now complete. Officials say contractors accidentally connected a contaminated water line into the drinking water system there. City officials say a contractor accidentally connected that water line, creating the cross connection that triggered boil water notices there in the South End. And Water Utilities Director Mike Harris says that the drinking water main, it was installed nearly 30 years ago, but it never appeared on official city records. Harris says the contractor was working on a lift station project and did not know that water main was there. He says the lift station was turned on for about a week before the contamination was discovered. The city then issued a boil water notice and began working with the TCEQ.
Water contamination is dangerous. It depends on, the contamination, the type of contamination. However, in a situation like this, it's a pretty serious event for the simple fact of the pathogens that you can introduce into the water.
Harris says all boil water notices have been since lifted after bacteria testing found no contamination in the drinking water system. Meanwhile, TCEQ's investigation remains ongoing, and Harris says the city has not been notified of any fines or citations against the contractor. Port Arthur residents are starting to see new water meters installed in their front yard. This is part of a $9.8 million city project, and it includes new meters for all Port Arthur residents. The city says they're expecting all 19,000 meters to be installed by July of next year. 12 News reporter Daniela Tapuada-Palau, she spoke with neighbors who are receiving the new meters.
Port Arthur residents are seeing new meters coming to their front lawn and at no cost to residents.
This project is 7 year long, so we're gonna pay by this meter.
But city officials say the biggest change residents will notice is the accuracy that comes with the new technology.
It's like if you count dollar compared to penny, if you spend like $2.65, but this machine can only tell you $2, then you count that 65 cents. But this meter will count after the decimal point. So that's how it gets more accurate.
Residents like Irma McDonald say they've seen water bills as high as $500 while living in Port Arthur, and say more accurate billing now comes at the perfect time.
Everything is very expensive now, and so it will be very expensive if the prices kept going up. So I think it means a lot to everyone in the area that we have more accurate reading.
Other residents say they haven't experienced billing issues, but are still looking forward to the upgrade.
I've known that people receive high water bills. My bill is pretty normal, but I think this is really good. It's a really good project.
The new meters will also include electronic access, which the city says could alert customers about possible leaks or unexpected water use.
They also can send out an alarm to your phone, your email. So when it's detect the leak, or if you're gonna be on vacation for 3 months, and suddenly there's water usage, you might have your neighbor come up.
The project is at 20% completion, and residents say they're ready for the change.
It's about time.
Well, June is reunification month, and it recognizes families who have worked through the court system to bring their children back home. In Jefferson County, 5 families were reunited after completing court-ordered services. So far this year, 68 families have been reunified. Judge Larry Thorne says that he started this local program decades ago after seeing children removed from homes because of family problems, especially drugs, believing that more support could help parents do better.
Children that have been removed due to problems, especially with drugs, has always been a problem. And seeing that and seeing that people could do better if they had support, I wanted to make that happen.
And those were the headlines here from Southeast Texas.
I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. San Antonio police arrested a woman accused of a violent robbery after Game 5 of the NBA Finals. KENS 5's Vanessa Croy shows us the key piece of evidence that helped police make the arrest.
According to an arrest warrant, this was an ambush robbery. 4 suspects surround a couple, hold them at knife point, and get away with their Knicks gear. 30-year-old Absidy Rodriguez is now facing charges in the armed robbery happening in the early morning hours of June 14th. According to an arrest warrant, Rodriguez and 3 unnamed suspects surround a couple walking along Market Street downtown. Rodriguez is accused of pulling out a knife and demanding the victims hand over their Knicks clothing. Police say the alleged crooks also assaulted the victims and forcibly took their Knicks gear. The suspects took off, but police say the victims snapped a photo of their getaway car. Detectives say that evidence led them to arrest Rodriguez. That same night, in a separate attack, a mother and daughter, along with 2 other suspects, are accused of a violent assault of other Knicks fans who police say were just going back to their hotel after the game. Police say the entire incident was caught on video and even captures one of the suspects proudly waving the stolen merchandise in the air after the assault. Absidy Rodriguez is now being charged with aggravated robbery. She was booked in the Bexar County Jail. Her bond set at $100,000. As for those 3 other suspects, police have not yet said if they've been arrested. Reporting near downtown tonight, Vanessa Croy, KENS 5.
A major change is coming for Bexar County motorists. Vehicles will soon be required to pass an emissions test before they can be registered. Bella Papaduke is taking a closer look at what this means for drivers.
While state safety inspections are no more, starting in the fall, drivers in Bexar County will need to pass a new emissions test. I'm at the official inspection station on Culebra, where drivers are getting a look at what's changing. A new test is on the way for nearly 2 million Bexar County drivers.
I'm not happy about it at all.
Vehicles will soon have to pass an emissions test before being registered.
So if the vehicle passes, it's free to go get its registration. If the vehicle fails, it is not allowed to be registered until it has a passing inspection.
Longtime Bexar County resident Lily Franks tells me she's disappointed by the thought of a new test.
But I knew it was coming because I have family in Houston, so it is what it is.
Well, Bexar County has exceeded the Clean Air Act, and we have some unclean air. And so this is one of the mitigation strategies that Bexar County is using to clean up our air.
To prepare for the change, the official inspection station hosted a pre-screening event on Thursday, giving drivers immediate pass or fail results to help get their cars ready. Now the question on many people's minds, how will this impact my wallet? A Bexar County emissions test will cost you $18.50.
I would love to see the governor do something about the price if that's within his, authority. It's too high.
But if your car doesn't pass, that's where costs could climb with different repairs. The official inspection station tells me something like a check engine light will be an automatic fail. The new regulations start November 1st, and remember, electric-only vehicles are exempt from this inspection. Bella Papaduke, KENS 5.
Well, here at home, mascots from across our state got one-of-a-kind training from an expert in the art of entertaining packed crowds. As John Coker explains, there's a whole lot more blood, sweat, and the occasional tear than meets the eye.
You know the hype, the unforgettable moments, and the mascot who fans the fan flame at every live sports event. But behind the mask is a mute master of ceremonies who keeps the crowd loud at every game without ever saying a word. We caught up with the internationally known mascot guru, Jeremy Bartlett, founder of the largest known mascot training camp in the country.
We are filling the void. Most cheer coaches have no idea what to do with their mascots. They've never been a mascot. These costumes can cost anywhere from $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. So we teach them how to take care of that equipment, as well as mascots or athletes. We teach them how to take care of their bodies. So we're just taking care of the next generation of young performers.
Bartlett has elevated entertainment programs for dozens of professional teams from inside and outside the signature suits. His higher impact entertainment mascot training camp allows him to share his years of experience with the most beloved, yet most overlooked athletes in the game.
There's no off season for mascots. Once football players are done playing, mascots switch to baseball, and the basketball, swim, math club, whatever it is, the mascot is the #1 supporter. Mascots are storytellers. The Coyote is famous for his skits, telling a story and taking the fans on a journey. How do you do that without saying a word?
I took that question as a personal challenge and suited up to find the answer.
This is the mascot obstacle course. Go! Faster, higher knees, You're tripping all over the wire. 1 jump, 2 jump, 3 jump. Oh my God. A little bit to your right. Make them laugh. Dancing teddy bear. It's time for t-shirt toss. Oh, the second row. Oh, into the stand. There we go.
Just the flag right there by itself, I went for like 3 minutes.
That was like 10 seconds, maybe.
That was at least 10 minutes.
No, not even close. That's why you gotta have a lot of heart, a lot of passion, and a lot of sweat.
I had a lot of heart before this. I don't have a lot of anything left. From the emergency room, John Coker, KENS 5.
And that's the news in San Antonio.
Hi, I'm Brennan Gurley, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. What started with one family facing an unimaginable diagnosis has turned into something much bigger. An entire East Texas community stepping up with prayers, kindness, and support for 17-year-old Jaden Gardner. CBS 19's Renee Estrada spoke with the family about just how grateful they are for the outpour of love that they've received.
Prayers being offered, support showing up in countless ways, and encouragement pouring in from all directions. This is what's carrying 17-year-old Jaden Gardner and his family through one of life's most uncertain journeys.
It's been continuous. It's been nonstop. From the time we left the hospital to the time we got home, we had outreach of prayers consistently.
Just weeks after graduating from White House High School, Jaden was rushed to the hospital when his mother knew something was wrong. And after a seizure and a CT scan, doctors discovered a brain mass. And soon after, the family received devastating news: a grade 4 glioma diagnosis, the most aggressive and malignant form of a brain tumor.
We actually received those biopsy results on Sunday, on Father's Day. We were very startled by it. It had revealed on there that it was, in fact, a grade 4 glioma. My heart sunk.
But somewhere in between fear and uncertainty, the family found themselves in the middle of something powerful, an outpouring of support from the East Texas community and beyond.
Overwhelming, in a good way, in a way that we know we can just sit here, love on our son, spend the quality time that we need and not have to worry about anything else.
Over the past few weeks, shirts, bracelets, and fundraisers have all become a symbol of support that's now helping carry the family into the next steps of Jaden's treatment and giving Jaden strength as he faces his diagnosis.
It really does make me feel like kind of good in a way, because, you know, hearing that word cancer just puts me at a devastating state, and I know that if I got faith, you know, I could do this with anything.
And while the journey ahead remains uncertain, the Gardner family says they are continuing to hold on to faith, hope, and a community standing strong beside them.
We know deep down, you know, where our hearts are. We know that God's got this no matter what, and He works miracles every day. So no diagnosis that's not the final answer.
In White House, Renee Estrada, CBS 19.
The countdown is on for the 89th East Texas Jamboree Queens Race. 7 young women have spent several days raising money to help support one of East Texas's most beloved traditions. CBS 19's Nayeli Carrillo shows us how the competition is about much more than a crown.
For nearly 9 decades, the East Texas Jamboree has brought people to Gilmer to celebrate community, agriculture, and tradition. This year, 7 young women are helping ensure that tradition continues.
It takes a lot of money to run the Jamboree. I mean, you've got the exhibits, you've got the prizes, you've got a livestock show, the carnival.
Lainey Hall, Lexi Hancock, Danica Jovestal, Markayla Tate, Sophia Dean, and Layla Plitcher and Bree Reynolds are all competing to become the 89th East Texas Jamboree Queen.
Because without them, we wouldn't be having the Jamboree.
For 12 days, the candidates have been selling raffle tickets, collecting donations, and meeting people across the community. Markayla Tate says the experience has helped her prepare for her future.
I want to major in either agribusiness or some sort of business and marketing because I really love to be like a salesman. That's why I really enjoyed the Jamboree.
For Sophia Dean, the race has been a chance to step out of her comfort zone.
I'm really shy, so going out and talking to people every day has been very good for me.
Layla Pilcher says the experience has been a full circle moment.
One of my favorite memories at the Jamboree have always been to watch my cousins participate in the pageant and on the floats and in the parade.
Danica says the race requires determination.
So it's a very long process. We're going from like 8 in the morning, not going to bed till like 12 at night. Like it's just a long process and you're working hard. You're going to all the businesses you see or know.
Lexi Hancock says the lessons she's learned will last long after the race ends.
I learned how to have grit and keep going even when it gets hard, and I feel like that'll be great at the end of college when I'm just right there about to graduate.
For Bree Reynolds, the Jamboree is deeply personal.
One of my grandparents or my great-grandparents was one of the people who helped found the Jamboree.
And for Lainey Hall, one of the most memorable parts has been the friendships formed along the way.
But we're just all in this together.
No matter who earns the crown, organizers say all 7 candidates have helped continue a tradition that has been bringing the community together for generations. In Gilmer, Nayeli Carrillo, CBS 19.
And that's a wrap of East Texas headlines. I'm Brennan Gurley.
I'm Mike Gillespie. The political spotlight shifts to South Texas this weekend. This as what is being billed as the largest gathering of Democrats in the country calls Corpus Christi home for the next few days. Ryan Hopper takes us downtown where the Texas Democratic Party convention is officially underway.
I'm Ryan Hopper in Corpus Christi, the site of the 2026 State Democratic Party Convention. Now, this may look like a short crowd. That's because we're about 20 minutes until the free concert starts featuring Tejano legend and congressional candidate Bobby Pulido, who is running down this way in a district, the 15th district, newly drawn district, along the Highway 281 corridor, stretching all the way from San Patricio County down to the U.S.-Mexico border. Now, I caught up with a DNC national delegate, Luciano Garza. He's been to 3 national conventions as a delegate for the state of Texas, and he says that his friend Bobby Pulido is the one to flip that key district that could decide control of the United States House.
You know, there's a problem with the Republicans when they say Texas has problems with education, with housing, with health care. Well, they have been in charge of our state for the last 2 or 3 decades. So they're the problem. So now voters have a legitimate chance of flipping Texas, turning it blue, finally.
There are expected to be some heavy hitters speaking at this event, including Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, and Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. Well, we are following a major move to secure federal money in Corpus Christi's high-stakes water fight. 3 city council members are now pushing to go after up to $120 million in government funding to help build the controversial Inner Harbor desalination plant. The agenda item was requested by council members Mark Scott, Everett Roy, and Roland Barrera. It would authorize staff to work with engineers to put together the documents needed to apply for and accept a U.S. Bureau of Reclamation grant to help pay for an Inner Harbor plant. But should Corpus Christi spend money now to pursue those millions in federal funding for a project that hasn't even been approved? As Michael Gibson shows us, that question is driving a divide at City Hall.
You have to have a site-specific project. We don't have one because Inner Harbor has not been approved yet. So do you want to spend $200,000 to apply for that grant that you can apply for next year?
This funding through the Bureau of Reclamation is critical to the entire project.
Those are the competing views over whether the city should hire a consultant to prepare an application for Bureau of Reclamation funding. The city is seeking up to $120 million for construction of the proposed Inner Harbor desalination plant, but the project itself has not yet been approved by City Council.
The council is going to have to make a decision of what direction they want to go. The problem is that if we do move forward
there's going to have to be at some point that we're going to have to make a decision on the Inner Harbor.
The application deadline is August the 26th. Barrera was one of 3 council members who placed the funding issue on next week's city council agenda for a vote.
This is just strong arm tactics is all it is, to put it on the council, say you're going to do this project. That's not the way to do it. That's not collaborating with your council members.
Now, that request is expected to be taken up by City Council next week as city leaders continue looking for new water sources. Either way, it will have council members once again talking about one of the biggest, most debated water projects in Corpus Christi history. And that is a quick look at some of what's making news right here in South Texas.